You ever sit in a room where you know you don't belong? Or at least that's what everybody else in the room thinks. That's exactly where I was that night, walking between marble floors and glass walls on the top floor of a Manhattan skyscraper carrying a tray of coffee cups like I was just part of the furniture. The meeting was supposed to be historic. Two powerful American executives polished in $1,000 suits had invited a Chinese tech billionaire to discuss a massive partnership. Everyone thought it was going to be about innovation about the future. Instead, it turned into something darker, a parade of arrogance and prejudice. I was 26 years old, skin dark as the night sky hair cut close, dressed in a plain black catering uniform. Nobody asked my name. Nobody looked me in the eye. To them, I was invisible. And I played the part, walking steady, filling cups, stacking papers. But what they didn't know was that I understood every word being said, and not just in English. At the head of the table sat Mr. Liang, a Chinese entrepreneur who had built his medical robotics empire from nothing. He wore a plain black suit, no flashy tie, no bravado, just calm, measured silence. And that silence drove the Americans crazy. One of them leaned back in his chair and whispered loud enough for everyone to hear. "Do you really think this guy even understands us? He just sits there like some machine." His partner laughed, swirling his whiskey. $50 million for a quiet little robot. I'll take that deal all day. They thought they were clever. Thought the man across from them couldn't possibly catch the insult. But I caught it, and so did he. What they didn't know, what no one in that room suspected, was that I had spent 3 years in Beijing on a scholarship. I studied engineering, ate street food with students from every province, stumbled my way through Mandarin until it rolled off my tongue as natural as English. Mr. Liang knew me from those days. He'd once told me creativity has no color, no passport. Those words had carried me for years. So when I heard those executives chuckling, treating him like a child at his own negotiation table, my blood burned. I held my tray steady, but my hands wanted to shake. The meeting dragged on. They spoke slowly, exaggeratedly, like they were teaching a toddler. "We want to buy your company," one said, chopping the air with his hands. The other snickered. Maybe we should draw him a picture. They had no idea every barb was being absorbed. And then I noticed something. Mr. Liang's fingers tapping lightly on the marble table. 3 short, 2 long, 3 short, again. Morse code. My breath caught. He was signaling. He knew someone understood him. Later, when I bent down to pick up some papers, I whispered in Mandarin so soft it almost vanished into the air. "My name is Marcus. I understand everything. Do you want help?" He didn't look at me, didn't move his head, but his finger tapped 3 times. Yes. From then on, the meeting became a chessboard. The Americans thought they were kings, but they were pawns. And me, I was the piece they didn't even see. Mr. Liang had given me a signal phrase, "sleeping dragon." When he said it, that was my cue. I didn't know what he planned, but I knew he had a strategy. And I knew I was tired of swallowing my anger in silence. During a break, I ducked into the bathroom and called my sister Danielle, an investigative journalist. Whispering into the phone, I said, "I need you to check Miller and Stone Corp. Bank transfers, contracts, anything shady with Asian companies." She hesitated for half a second, then said, 20 minutes. Be careful." When I walked back in, the mood was even uglier. The Americans were snapping at the translator, mocking every short sentence. One slammed his fist on the table, shouting, "Enough games. 50 million, take it or leave it." His partner sneered. "If he doesn't like it, there are plenty of other Chinese startups desperate for our money." That's when Mr. Liang smiled, just a small curve of the lips, and in perfect Mandarin said, "The sleeping dragon has awakened." The room went quiet. They thought it was another one of his cryptic phrases. But I knew better. I set the tray down, stepped forward, and for the first time that night, I spoke. "Gentlemen," I said, voice steady, "there are a few things you need to know about this meeting." Their heads whipped around. One of them actually dropped his glass. You speak Chinese fluently," I said. 3 years in Beijing. Degree in engineering. And I've understood every word you've said tonight, every insult, every joke, every little prejudice you thought no one could hear." Their faces drained of color. I went on pulling my phone from my pocket. And second, Mr. Liang has understood you all along too. He just chose not to dignify your arrogance with a response. The silence was like a punch in the gut. Then I tapped my phone and the projector on the wall lit up. SEC reports, internal emails, audio recordings my sister had just sent me, proof of contract fraud of meetings, where these two bragged about tricking foreign companies, stuffing contracts with hidden clauses, stealing technology under the guise of partnerships. One of the recordings played loud and clear. "It's like stealing candy from a baby," Jonathan's voice said. "They think we respect their traditions, but we're just pulling the wool over their eyes." The sound of his own words echoed around the room. He froze. His partner's jaw hung open. Mr. Liang stood then tall and unshaken, and for the first time all evening, he spoke in flawless English. "Gentlemen," he said, "I believe our business is finished." I can't describe the look on their faces. It was like watching a tower crumble brick by brick. One muttered, "We can negotiate more money, equity, whatever you want." But the desperation was useless. The evidence was already gone, sent to regulators and newspapers. That night, I wasn't invisible anymore. That night, two men who thought they were untouchable learned that arrogance has a price, and sometimes it's paid in full, right in front of the skyline they thought they owned. 6 months later, I wasn't carrying trays anymore. I was sitting behind my own desk as Vice President of International Strategy at Dragon Tech America, looking out at that same skyline. My sister's article had won awards. Mr. Liang had launched a scholarship program for young black students in tech. And those two executives, one bankrupt, the other in prison, their empire sold for scraps to the very man they tried to belittle. Do I regret it? Only that I stayed quiet as long as I did. Because the truth is, being invisible doesn't mean being insignificant. That night proved it. And now I want to ask you, how many times have you seen someone underestimated just because of how they looked, where they came from, or the job they were doing? Do you think silence is dignity? Or do you think silence is submission? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I know this story is going to stir some arguments. And if you believe stories like this matter, stories about justice, about people who refuse to stay invisible, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Because the next time someone writes you off, remember, the invisible might just be the ones holding the whole game in their hands.